But on paper, right now, Jaron Boots Ennis is supposed to win this fight. But Xander Zayas got an opportunity, man. This is what he said he wanted. He got an opportunity to show up and show up big.
Yeah, and he's not a two-division champ. He's a two-time champ at one division. At one division. Number two, like I said, if you didn't want this smoke, you should not have accepted those titles. Because this is what comes with you being the world champion. When you are the world champion, every other contender on the block is supposed to want you. You understand me? When you the world champ, you're supposed to know you have just stepped out of that elite group of guys that want to be world champ. Now you became the target. So he's a target right now.
One punch fast and he's three punch fast. He's combination fast too. But Xander ain't slow. So there's the opportunity,
especially on his feet.
There's the opportunity of Boots just kind of having his head out there and Xander, flicking that jab out there and catching him with it.
Not loading up.
Flicking the double jab and catching him with that. You know what I mean? Doing something to force Boots to move his feet. You know what I mean? But the funniest thing about with Boots is that rhyme and that reason. He will turn your rhyme into his reason.
Andre Ward and Roy Jones Jr. broke down the Xander Zayas versus Jaron Boots Ennis matchup, and both legends agreed that the fight could have major implications for the 154-pound division. Ward pointed out that while both fighters are two-division world champions, the gap in experience is greater than their records might suggest. According to Ward, Boots has spent nearly a decade in professional ranks and has logged a comparable number of rounds despite having fewer fights, largely because Ennis has consistently finished opponents early, while many of Zayas' bouts have gone the distance.
Be a sellout or close to it. Xander Zayas is 23-0, and he's a two-time world champion. Jaron Boots Ennis is also a two-time world champion. And even though Boots has been a pro for 10 years, which is crazy to say, you would think that Boots at this point would have more marquee matchups and other big names and qualified, solidified names on his record. And that's not all his fault. He's been calling for it, but it's just the way the cookie crumbled for Jaron Boots Ennis. But he's a 10-year vet. And Xander Zayas, I think, has been in the game for 7 years or something like that. And I watched a lot of his fights, and I've saw his come up calling fights on ESPN from the very beginning. But it's interesting because Xander has 23 fights, been a pro 3-4 years less than Jaron Boots Ennis. Jaron Boots Ennis is 35-0, but they got the same amount of pro rounds. I think Boots has 124 rounds, and Xander may have 125 rounds, and that's because Boots gets a lot of knockouts, and Xander's fights typically go the distance.
Roy Jones Jr. also made it clear that he believes Boots possesses many of the intangibles that separate good fighters from great ones. He pointed to Ennis' speed, power, creativity, and overall ring IQ as key advantages, suggesting those qualities give him the edge over Zayas. Jones also emphasized that Ennis becomes even more dangerous because of his ability to switch stances seamlessly, making him a difficult and unpredictable opponent to solve.
Too soon, you got two world titles in that division. If you got two of the world titles, that's implications that you're trying to go become the undisputed champ of that division. So it can't be too early or vacated those titles. Once you get a title, now you got to play King of the Hill. Whatever show up on that hill, you got to face. So it can't be too early. Second, I like Xander Zayas' boxing skills and boxing IQ, but I think Boots has a little bit more experience and has a little bit more of the intangibles, like the speed, the power. I think most of the other things lean toward Boots. Can he take Xander's punch? Because Xander's only been campaigning at junior middleweight. Boots' two world titles are at welterweight. So that's another thing that's going to factor in.
Ward also raised a point that many fans may be overlooking about Boots moving up in weight. He suggested that Ennis is not making a traditional jump in weight because he has naturally carried more size than the welterweight limit for years. According to Ward, no longer having to make 147 pounds could allow Boots to enter the ring stronger, fresher, and with even more energy than before. In his view, the version of Ennis competing at 154 pounds could be even more dangerous than the one fans have already seen.
What you said in terms of what we see on paper. On paper, Jaron Boots Ennis, even though he's new to the weight class, you got to realize that Mackie Shieldstone taught me this when I fought Sergey Kovalev. I said, man, I'm going up in weight. Mackie said, you're not going up in weight. Do you see you're walking around weight? He said, you're just not coming down as low. I said, that's a good way to think about it. So Jaron Boots Ennis gets big in between fights. That's been well documented. So he's moving up a weight class, but really he's going to be stronger. He's going to have more stamina because he's not sucking himself down to get to the 147-pound division. So even though he's new to the weight class, this is a better Jaron Boots Ennis that we're going to get.
But Ward also questioned whether this fight may be coming too soon for Xander Zayas. He suggested that holding world titles does not automatically mean a fighter is ready for the toughest challenge available. Ward pointed to past examples of talented young champions who were matched with elite opponents before their development was fully complete, arguing that those decisions sometimes had lasting effects on their careers. In his view, Zayas has tremendous potential, but this matchup could be his biggest test yet.
Boots has the better IQ. He has better creativity in terms of his offense and the things you see him do. Boots can fight southpaw, left-handed, so you got to deal with that and get southpaw sparring. If you're Xander Zayas, you got to deal with him being orthodox. You got to deal with power. You got to deal with speed. Boots can bang it out. Boots can box it out. Boots can do a lot of different things. He's got a deep bag in his fight game. Now, his fight game hasn't been challenged like we would like to see him challenged, but the challenges he has had, he's passed those tests. I like his movement. I like the Puerto Rican heritage. I like how he's leaned into that and embraced that. Man, he's a good kid. And all these things can be said about Jaron Boots Ennis as well, but I'm just talking about Xander right now. I don't see, from what I've seen, where Xander Zayas, outside of catching Boots with a shot that hurts him and then finishes him, I don't see where his fight game matches up with Jaron Boots Ennis. I just don't see it right now.
When the conversation turned to whether Xander Zayas deserved the benefit of the doubt, Roy Jones Jr. pushed back on that idea. He argued that once a fighter accepts championship belts, the expectations change and there is no longer room for excuses about timing or experience. In Jones' view, champions are expected to face the best available competition. He believes Zayas will have to deliver the performance of his career if he wants to prove he belongs at the elite level against a fighter like Boots Ennis.
And we can disagree. We're gonna agree to disagree. But what I'm trying to tell you is, with my lifestyle and what I know from boxing, if you go win the belt, you got to be ready to defend that belt. If you go win 2 belts, you definitely got to be ready to go defend them 2 belts. So if you won the belt, and no sense saying you're gonna duck the smoke now. You the champ. The champ can't duck the smoke. If the champ duck the smoke, I got a problem with that. So you got 2 belts. I don't care how old you are. You're the champ. Everybody's coming for you now. You understand me? You are at the top of everybody's wish list if they want to be champion. So when you get them belts, and don't say to me, oh, I ain't ready yet, or I ain't got enough experience. No. You can't play the Bam game. Bam come up to anyways weight. That's a different game.
Yeah.
This man come up to your weight, and you have 2 titles in that weight class. Ain't no sense talking about, oh, I ain't ready. No, you shouldn't have got the belts then. If you ain't ready. If you ain't ready, don't let him fight for the title yet.
When the conversation shifted to what comes after this fight, both Andre Ward and Roy Jones Jr. made it clear that the stakes extend far beyond Saturday night. They suggested that the winner would immediately establish himself as one of the leading names at 154 pounds and move into position for an undisputed championship opportunity. In their view, an even bigger showdown could be waiting next, with the division's biggest challenges lined up for whoever emerges victorious.
Paper, right now, Jaron Boots Ennis is supposed to win this fight, but Xander Zayas got an opportunity, man. This is what he said he wanted. He got an opportunity to show up and show up big.
Yeah, and he's not a 2-division champ. He's a 2-time champ at 1 division. No, like I said, if you didn't want this smoke, you should not have accepted those titles. Because this is what comes with you being the world champion. When you are the world champion, every other contender on the block is supposed to want you. You understand me? When you the world champ, you're supposed to know you have just stepped out of that elite group of guys that want to be world champ. Now you became the target. So he's the target right now, whether he want to be or not. And he got to deal with that, bro. I'm sorry. I'm not saying he going to win. I'm not saying he going to lose. But because he is the world champion, he got to deal with that, Dre. Ain't no way around that. And guess what? If he wins, we all going to be beckoning for him to go with that Puerto Rican-Mexican rivalry. We going to want to see him fight the Inferno if he can win it. If he don't win it, I ain't saying he didn't take it too early.
As fight night approaches, Jaron Boots Ennis is full of confidence ahead of his highly anticipated clash with Xander Zayas. Ennis says he is feeling great in training camp and believes everything is coming together at the right time. He expects to deliver an impressive performance and has promised fans an exciting show when he steps into the ring.
Fight Hub TV, man. Just an enormous fight, brother. How are you feeling during this fight week?
Feeling great, feeling tremendous. Ready to rock and roll. Can't wait. Ready to put on a beautiful show. Bring home this big knockout.
How does Xander compare to, how is he different from some of your past opponents?
Every fighter different. Everybody got their own style and their own abilities. And but on Saturday night, we're going to be victorious and do what I do.
The undefeated star also reflected on his experience sparring with Canelo Alvarez, describing it as a valuable learning opportunity. Rather than simply testing himself, Ennis focused on studying the Mexican superstar's habits, timing, and techniques, believing those sessions helped him add even more tools to his already dangerous skill set.
I just, taking sparring Canelo it was a great thing. He 70 fights in, and I was just, picking his brain, stealing different things, and putting it into my arsenal, and it was a great experience.
Well,
Sean Porter broke down the Jaron Boots Ennis versus Xander Zayas matchup in detail, making it clear that this fight is about much more than talent on paper. Porter pointed out that while Boots possesses exceptional explosiveness, hand speed, and combination punching, Zayas is far from slow himself and should not be overlooked in that area. In his view, both fighters have the athletic ability to compete at a high level, making this a far more intriguing matchup than many people expect.
Boots is one punch fast and he's three punch fast. He's combination fast too. But Xander ain't slow. So there's the opportunity,
especially on his feet.
There's the opportunity of Boots just kind of having his head out there, and Xander, flicking that jab out there and catching him with it.
Not loading up.
Flicking the double jab and catching him with that. You know what I mean? Doing something to force Boots to move his feet. You know what I mean? But the funniest thing about with Boots is that rhyme and that reason. He will turn your rhyme into his reason. He will turn your reason into his rhyme. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is, for me, a double jab right hand is to push you back to the ropes, and then I go to the body, I get to work. He's gonna take two or three steps back, and then he's gonna find what do I do here? It's the uppercut, it's the slide out, it's the return with the right hand left hook. He got so many different things, and instinctively I've seen him able to call on those things.
According to Sean, Xander has quick feet and fast hands that give him a real chance to beat opponents to punch. However, he believes the biggest challenge is that Boots does not fight by a predictable pattern. Porter suggested that no matter what game plan Zayas brings into the ring, Ennis has a natural instincts, creativity, and adaptability to make adjustments on the fly. In his view, that ability to improvise is one of the qualities that makes Boots such a difficult fighter to prepare for.
Certain little things that were off that Xander may think he's seen, probably enjoy watching that, because you're more than likely not going to see that on fight night. But to that point, Boots is great. Funny enough, he's a lot like Terrence. He's a counterpuncher because he has that fast twitch fiber in his body that makes him a counterpuncher, but he can also lead off whenever he wants to. Which one is he better in? That's a great question. It's been masked. I don't know if we know which one he's better in.
It's funny, the counterpunching is punctuating, right? It's punctuating the exchange, but him in particular, I just think of him, he is a great counterpuncher, but I think of him as a punctuator.
Porter also suggested that Ennis cannot be labeled as just a counterpuncher or simply a pressure fighter. Instead, he believes Boots blend both styles seamlessly, allowing him to adapt to whatever is happening in the ring. According to Porter, Ennis has a unique ability to neutralize an opponent's offense and immediately answer with sharp, damaging shots before they have a chance to recover or reset.
I'm going to venture to say he's more of a counterpuncher than he is a leadoff hitter. But to that point, if Xander, I'm kind of like confirming what Xander's saying. Usually a counterpuncher isn't good moving forward, isn't good, being first. Those are counterpunchers struggle heavy with those components in the fight. He doesn't struggle with it, but it still could be for Xander. His job is to really study you over and over and over and really try to find some.
It sounds like he has.
Veteran trainer Ronnie Shields offered a balanced assessment of the upcoming showdown between Jaron Boots Ennis and unified junior middleweight champion Xander Zayas. While Shields regards Ennis as one of the most complete fighters in the sport and a legitimate pound-for-pound talent, he also cautioned against overlooking the challenge Zayas presents. In his view, Zayas has the skills, discipline, and confidence to make this a far more competitive fight than many people expect.
It'll be a great fight. I mean, really and truly, it's going to be a great fight. Boots has all the skills in the world. He can fight orthodox or southpaw. But Xander can really fight. I mean, this guy is not world champion for nothing. He's a world champion for a reason. And, you know, and I know Boots is not going to take this lightly. But, you know, I give the edge to Boots just because of the guys he's fought already. But you can't close your eyes on Xander because this kid can really go. And, you know, if you catch him on a good night, he can upset Boots.
Shields also rejected the idea that Xander Zayas is simply entering the fight as an underdog with little chance of success. In his view, the undefeated champion has earned his place at the top of the division and possesses the talent, skill, and confidence to make this a highly competitive matchup. He believes Zayas is a legitimate world-class fighter who deserves to be taken seriously.
Could actually trouble Boots Ennis.
Number one thing, right, is winning a world championship makes you 10 to 15% better fighter. Anyway, you know, he don't want to give that up. You know, so the training, everything is going to be different for this guy because he knows this is the biggest fight of his life right now. You know, there are other big fights out there, but this is the biggest fight of his career. So, and you know, being champion, you want to keep that. So this kid is gonna dig deep as he possibly could to do everything he can to win this fight. That makes Boots have to do the same. Because if he doesn't, you know, he's going to be in for a long night.
American heavyweight contender Richard Torres Jr. expressed confidence in Xander Zayas ahead of his highly anticipated showdown with Jaron Boots Ennis, while acknowledging that Ennis is one of the most dangerous and complete fighters in boxing. Torres believes Zayas is being underestimated and has a ring IQ, composure, and boxing ability to rise to the occasion and make the fight far more competitive than many expect.
I'm Team Xander. You know, I grew up in the amateur with him, and I think a lot of people are underestimating who Xander is as a fighter. He's a two-belt world champion, and he's a hard worker. He does his thing. And I know Boots is a great fighter, but I really think people are underplaying Xander's capability.
Greg Hackett dismissed the obsession with film study, arguing that watching tape can create a false sense of confidence because the reality inside the ring is completely different. In his view, all the analysis and preparation in the world only go so far. The true answers come once the fighters are standing across from each other, dealing with the speed, pressure, and adjustments that can only be experienced from inside the ropes.
I mean, some of it is for content, some of it is for confidence. For me, I think shit like that is funny because you can watch tape and if you really don't even know what you're looking at, you can lie to yourself too. And at the same time, the angle you watching it from on tape, the angle you watching it from being in there, like not being in the ring, but being outside the ring as a coach, and the angle from actually being in there, all three of those angles are different. We could come up with whatever we want. They still gotta fight. And what either guy sees, none of us will see. So you can prepare as much as you want. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to prove it that night in the ring. So when people breaking down videos and things like that, it's cool. It's good for content, but it don't change the angle from when you actually in there. You know what I mean? And that's what matters most.
Stepping away from the trash talk, Greg acknowledged that both fighters have earned their place at the top and believes this high-stakes showdown is exactly what boxing needs. He does not see it as a one-sided matchup, but as a major opportunity for both men to prove themselves. In his view, neither side has room for excuses now that they are finally getting the fight they have been asking for.
I don't think none of it is true because if Xander wasn't as good as he is, he wouldn't be here. If Boots wasn't as good as he is, he wouldn't be here. This is one of those fights we didn't want right away, but we wanted it. Now we got it. You can't complain when you get it. It's a great fight, like it or not.
Boxing analyst Sergio Mora offered a detailed breakdown of the upcoming showdown between Jaron "Boots" Ennis and Xander Zayas, describing it as a fight that could be decided by a single mistake. While he views Ennis as a favorite, Mora also believes Zayas is a legitimate underdog with the talent and discipline to pull off an upset if he can capitalize on the right opportunities.
I saw a bigger, younger fighter motivated to do something great in Zayas. And if Boots is not careful and is a little bit too much overconfident, and this is a type of fight where he can be exposed. There was something both of them were going on, saying they both get hit. Yes, they do, but Boots gets hit being offensive. Zayas gets hit, being a little bit pulling his head back, rookie mistakes.
Mora stressed that Xander Zayas will need to deliver a near-perfect performance from the opening bell if he hopes to beat Boots Ennis. He argued that Ennis possesses the experience, instincts, and finishing ability to capitalize on even the smallest defensive mistakes. According to Mora, talent alone will not be enough against a fighter who consistently turns minor openings into fight-changing moments.
And I think a fighter like Boots can capitalize on that. And Zayas better be on his P's and Q's. He better have that sharp technique because he's dealing with a more confident, maybe overconfident, but more skilled and naturally gifted fighter in Boots. And that's the reason that the unified champion is the underdog in Zayas.
Yeah.
Floyd Schofield Sr. also shared his thoughts on several rising names in boxing. While he acknowledged Jaron "Boots" Ennis as one of the sport's most talented and athletic fighters, he made it clear that he is not overlooking Xander Zayas. In his view, Zayas has developed into a complete, well-rounded boxer who continues to improve and has the tools to become a serious threat at the highest level of the division.
In that welterweight.
I gotta go with Zayas. Kid got Zayas ready too. We've been in the ring with all of them. Everybody. I got footage of him and Zayas traded and everything else. So every champion kid got ready. Damn near around him. So we go with Zayas. Plus Zayas, they knew each other since kids. They've been friends since kids. We've been in about 2 camps with Zayas. Zayas was in the camp with us with Adrian, Broner, and Tank. So it's a small world in the boxing world. They all know each other. Everybody know each other, but Kid and Zayas is friends, so we're gonna back him. And he's very skilled. People judge like they judge kids their age. And people see all the fanciness of Ennis, but they don't know that Zayas is skilled with the basics. And basics wins fights. There's a lot of greats that became great because of the basics.
Despite Ennis' reputation as one of boxing's most dangerous and explosive talents, Schofield Sr. believes Xander Zayas has the tools to create real problems and should not be underestimated. In his view, the Puerto Rican champion possesses a discipline, composure, and technical foundation to make the fight highly competitive and could surprise many people if he is able to execute his game plan.
At the back of his hand. So I believe that he could pull it off, but it ain't gonna be easy. It ain't gonna be easy because Ennis can move. And Zayas don't move a lot, but Zayas could crack. That's what I think they sleeping on. They don't know Zayas could crack. When he really want to fight, he could fight. He could fight. So they could sleep. If they sleep on him, they'll be in trouble. If they don't sleep on him and they put that work and they take this shit like if they fight in Virgil or somebody, they could pull it off. I believe that it will be a good fight. But if they sleep on him, think, oh, he young. He gonna shock the world. He gonna shock all of them.
That's all for today's video. We hope you enjoyed it. Let us know your thoughts in the comment below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more boxing news, fight breakdowns, and exclusive updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.